Hello, I'm the Irish guy, and right, we are a quarter of the way through the Premier League season. Whoa, time flies when you're dancing with teddy bears. So, look, I know I usually do this sort of video at the end of the season, but lads, today I want to take a look back at my summer predictions where I predicted every Premier League club's one signing who would flop. And I want to see if these are still on track or if they've already aged horribly. Right, let's go.
Arsenal money Madwake. I think Madwake has an entire season of bench warming ahead of him, and he registers no more than 4 Premier League goals all season long. I mean, seriously, that's for every 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th Premier League goal he scores this season, then I will eat a waffle out of a public bin.
Look, I'm not totally cringing at this one, like someone who's just found their grandma's head in their cornflakes. No, this wasn't woefully horrible because this prediction was saved by an injury. Because, lads, at the start of the season, Nonny Madwake burst into life. I mean, it wasn't just me. Everyone, even the Arsenal fans, were waffling about this transfer being a mud sandwich. I mean, probably because it came completely out of the blue, yeah. And I mean, for the Gunners to sign another Chelsea player after the rest of their rejects were pitifully poor, then yes, the optics of this one looked dreadful. I mean, what next? Were the Gunners also going to ask Chelsea if they could have their muddy underpants? But then, Madwake took that criticism personally, and he played really well for the first month. But I do think the hype was a bit overboard. I mean, Gary Neville was squawking about whether Arteta should just wedge Saka to the left to make room for Madwake on the right, which is almost as crazy a notion as if he were to ask Jill Scott if he could eat a banana pie out of her shoe. Look, normality has been kind of restored after Madwake's knee injury, yeah. Because yes, he is right now on the bench. And sure, he did racely score the winner against Bayern Munich, but lads, come on. It's nearly Christmas and no goals, no assists, and so right now, I am not trembling with fear. I'm not sitting here mentally preparing to eat so many bin waffles that my tongue turns yellow. No, I think Madwake will be a bit better than I thought he would, and a very useful squad option, but ultimately, no. This one doesn't make me feel like I've just said something ridiculously wild, like how I used to have a crush on the receptionist at Monsters Inc. No, it's fine.
Aston Villa, Evan Guessan. I don't think he squeezed himself many starts on that wing. I think he gets limited minutes, and when he does play, his end product is going to be weaker than a bunny rabbit with the flu. Honestly, I see him squeezing no more than 3 league goals all season long.
You know what? This one isn't totally terrible either. Everything I said kind of came true. Evan Guessan has absolutely found starts hard to come by in the league. He's only started 5 Premier League matches. He was hauled off half-time against Crystal Palace. And yeah, so far, not a single goal or an assist in the biggest baddest league in the world. Which means if there are any potato brain chumps out there who were silly enough to put Guessan into your fantasy league team, then you're probably also the type of person who's got a fridge full of expired food. Yeah, seriously, try and pour that milk in your Frosties and you'll probably break the bowl. Guessan was clearly bought for the Europa League, where to be fair, he's barely missed a minute and did score in that embarrassing defeat against Go-Ahead Eagles. But so far, no, he hasn't been memorable in the slightest. In fact, you will not find a single person discussing him in any Costa coffee across the world. His signing has proven to be no more exciting than eating sausage roll crumbs off your mum's foot, but he is not the biggest Villa flop. No, that one is probably Harvey Elliott.
Bournemouth, Adrian Trufer. Poor Adrian Trufer. I feel bad for Adrian Trufer, because imagine being a pretty expensive £14 million signing for Bournemouth, but you're having to follow in the footsteps of Milos Kerkez, arguably the most promising young left-back in the world. Seriously, he's about to go and become a long-term Liverpool rock star, so Trufer. This feels like whatever poor chap was told to try and replace Andy Robertson at left-back for Hull. Going from Kerkez to Trufer, it's a big downgrade.
No. Oh, yes. How on earth will Adrian Trufer possibly live up to the Milos Kerkez name? That Hungarian left-back who, by the way, has since wobbled his way around the Anfield turf, looking every inch a chunky penguin. And the fact that he's keeping a multiple Premier League winning legend like Andy Robertson stapled to the bench, it is so weird. And I'm guessing the Scottish left-back is this close to putting a hole in any slots off his door. Trufer, by the way, has been fantastic. An outstanding left-back so far, is probably in contention to be in the team of the season. And here is me thinking that he'd be an incontinent pig. Horrible shout. Awful. Next.
Brentford, Cleveland Keller. He's never played more than 8 Premier League games in a row. Ever. And goalkeepers can look brilliant when only given a small patch of games, but over a 38-game season, when now playing behind a significantly worse defence, and with the whole team being controlled by a man who's never managed a game in his life. Sorry, but I think Keller is getting relegated.
Cleveland Keller has been fantastic. Absolutely brilliant so far for Brentford. Lads, I thought he'd be bazoonued. The victim of playing every week for a team losing every week, on course for relegation. No, Keller's been outstanding for a typically mid-table Brentford, and he's 100% cemented his place in the Arling starting 11 now. I mean, as soon as he saved that Ronaldo penalty 2 months ago, Bazoonu's hopes were instantly crushed in a meat grinder. I thought that Keller's belief in himself would crumble every week as the Bees lost every week. But no, that is utter wet nonsense drivel. But you know what? I'm happy to be proved wrong about this one.
Brighton, Tommy Watson. I think he's going to regret quitting his boyhood club when things have finally got good. I think Watson is going to be this season's Jack Clark. struggles getting in Hurstler's team, doesn't score a single Premier League goal, and when he sees the departing seagull Simon Adingra starting every week for Sunderland, he's gonna feel jealous.
I mean, this one was almost bang on. Okay, no, Simon Adingra is not exactly ripping it up every week on the Sunderland wing, no. But I reckon Tommy Watson is suffering from a chronic case of FOMO. Oh, did I really just say FOMO? Oh, next, am I gonna wander down the park with a skateboard and ask the teenagers what they think of Pokemon Go? But no, lads, Watson left his boyhood club Sunderland at the absolute worst moment. He just fired them into the Premier League with a dream last-minute playoff final winner. And then he just dips off to the Seagulls to, yes, absolutely sit on the bench. Look, he's had a couple of injuries, which shouldn't be a total shock, considering he is built like a twirl. Seriously, his Brighton training sessions should probably start every day with the very butch nurse force-feeding a cheeseburger down his mouth for breakfast. He's so skinny, he looks like he'd blow away in the wind. And yeah, like I said, he can't squeak a match for Brighton. I mean, maybe if they were in Europe, he'd be starting some matches, but no. And so yeah, when he sees his former club winning games every week, he must feel a teeny bit grim. So far, this prediction looks pretty decent.
Burnley, Amanda Broya. What is the point? He is a nightmare signing, a completely awful joke of a buy for Parker. Sorry, but no goals all season. None. And for every goal he does score, I will squirt toothpaste on my face.
Well, would you look at that? We're nearly at Christmas and yes, no goals. Not a single drop of toothpaste is wound up in this eye because Amanda Broya has been an absolute drunken bunny rabbit. It's funny how his reputation was able to coast so long after one decent loan spell with Southampton. Oh yes, he admittedly did look like a bit of a beast up front, but that was 4 years ago. He's now a dried up 24-year-old sausage. So for Burnley to take the plunge in the summer, it was about as weird as seeing a squirrel eating cake. This Albanian is a Finnish lump who should be absolutely trying to rebuild his career in the Championship. The fact that Burnley actually committed to a long-term contract after his injury nightmare, it is so weird. Maybe take him on loan first to see if he really is a busted up banana. It's like choosing to marry your cousin instead of going on a first date. It's just weird.
Chelsea, Liam Delap. Come back to this in 12 months' time, and I think Delap is still going to be eligible to make his Republic of Ireland debut. Because I don't think Thomas Tuchel picks him for a single squad. He'll score no more than 6 Premier League goals all season. It's going to be a completely frustrating year for him. And okay then, lad, if he scores more in his debut season at Chelsea than Alvaro Morata scored in his debut season at Chelsea, which was 11, then I will spend Christmas Day knocking on people's doors asking if I can come in.
Ooh, so my prediction was less than 10 starts, just 6 league goals all season, and 0 England caps before the World Cup. In an era of decidedly dud British strikers after Harry Kane. Well, so far, Delap has started 3 matches, and so far scored a big bag of nothing in the league. Okay, I know he's had his injuries, and he did bag one against Barcelona, but still, it looks like my prediction is kind of on track. Morata, by the way, scored 15 in his debut season at Stamford Bridge. If Delap manages that, then I will march into Curry's and ask if I can kiss one of the TVs. I know Delap has been injured, but when he has played, I think his touches look sloppy, and I haven't really been impressed. And so yeah, so far, I do get the distinct whiff of him being a resident of Flopville.
Crystal Palace, Walter Benitez. Sorry lads, but no games for Benitez, and he is not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, Walter Benitez has not played in the league and hasn't even been given a chance in the Conference League, which seems a little mean, but hey, he did keep goal in the League Cup 3-0 win at Anfield, so that's something, I guess.
Everton, Adam Asnu. Adam Asnu is a talent, sure, but he's a 19-year-old left-back who's barely played much men's football at all. I don't think he'll play much this season either. His former Barcelona Academy wonderkid will squeeze, what, 6 Premier League starts? And he'll get absolutely burnt in one of those matches. My guess is when trying to mark Anthony Elanga at St. James's Park, just you watch, it's going to be a tough all season for Asnu.
Even I'm shocked by this one. When I plumped for teenage left-back Adam Asnu, even I wasn't totally convinced that I was right, because he's an extremely exciting young Morocco international left-back who's been through the Barcelona Academy and last season was scraping minutes for Bayern Munich. He's seen as one of the top young defenders in the world, right? But at Everton, he's still waiting for his Premier League debut. He spent the last 11 league matches stuffed to the bench, mentally begging David Moyes to even ask him to warm up. The only time he's been seen in a Toffee shirt has been for the under 21s in defeats to Doncaster, Bradford and Rochdale. I mean, for a former Barca and Bayern left-back to be being terrorised in a 5-1 thumping at Bradford, it must be more embarrassing than confessing to licking toilet paper. So far, Asnu has been an anonymous milk burger who's been absolutely refused a first team chance. At this rate, the Moroccan is probably thinking he should have stayed in Germany because so far, his expulsion from the team is really weird. What did he do? Spit in Moisey's teeth?
Fulham, Benjamin Lecomte. Again, another backup goalie who won't play.
Yeah, pretty simple and pretty obvious. But the most disappointing Fulham signing so far is surely Kevin. A club record £35 million buy from Shakhtar. But the Brazilian winger has barely been given a start. I mean, he features in every match, but it's usually just 10-minute cameos. And he's now being outshone by the other winger signing, Samuel Chukwueze on loan from Milan. It's really strange stuff because a month ago, Liverpool scouts were actually actively watching Kevin play against Wolves. Arne Slot's crew were actively interested in him, so this is just a bit weird. weird.
Leeds, Lucas Demecha. Leeds United have signed a sick note. Leeds fans will barely see him play. He'll be such a pointless signing. It'll be like when Newcastle got Saidu Doumbia on loan. Honestly, I don't even think he'll play more than 4 matches before having his contract ripped up in June. Honestly, horrible.
No. Lucas Demecha literally scored the winning goal for Leeds on his debut. But then he did go quiet for a few months before, then bursting back into form over the last month, netting for Leeds 3 games in a row. Look, my biggest gripe with this former Man City kid is that he is a completely injury-prone sick note, who's probably this close to needing a nurse to feed him food through the ear. But so far, for a freebie signing to score 4 goals so far, it's not a bad return at all, so I guess I was wrong.
Liverpool, Jeremy Frimpong. I know it's crazy, but Frimpong going forward will be brilliant. But in the big moments, I think he's going to mess up. He's not truly built for a back 4. Don't get me wrong, he won't be a bad signing at all. But he's going to be like what John Arnorisa was. Brilliant going forward, providing plenty of magic moments, but was defensive cauliflower.
It's too early to tell. Look, of all the Liverpool newbies, Jeremy Frimpong is not getting the most scrutiny because, to be fair, he didn't cost bananas money. But I am starting to think that the Dutchman probably won't survive long at Anfield. Not because he's not a good player. He is. Hello, he was a Bundesliga invincible. You don't start every match as a key player for an unbeaten team if you're not secretly elite in your position. He was the Leverkusen what Freddie Ljungberg was to the Arsenal Invincibles. No, he wasn't the glamour superstar like a Xhaka or a Wirtz, but he was a solid, functional part of the team. But I mean, Ljungberg then turned into a burned-out squirrel as soon as he left the Gunners, going through West Ham, Seattle Sounders, Chicago Fire, Celtic, Shimizu Pulse and Mumbai, and is now a Baller League boss. At least Frimpong didn't get himself a monster ambitious move to Liverpool, but he's not a right back and he's not a winger. He's in that strange sweet spot of being a right wing back. There's only a handful of top teams in the world who he would actually suit, and it's probably not Liverpool. So far, he's only started 1 Premier League match, which was on the opening night where he was torn to shreds by Semenyo, and so he was dragged off after an hour. And since then, no more Premier League starts. And he played an hour in the Champions League defeat out in Turkey, and to be fair, has been wiped out with a hamstring injury since before Halloween. He might come good, but so far, out of every single Liverpool boy, to me, it's Frimpong, not Wirtz, who I think probably is not going to work out.
Man City, Ryan Aït-Nouri. Ryan Aït-Nouri is a smashing attacking left back, but again, like Frimpong, he is suspect defensively and will be for Man City. And I'm going to say this, he'll be responsible for City not winning the Champions League when he gets caught out horribly and exposed against a powerhouse like Real Madrid or PSG.
Look, Ryan Aït-Nouri has been smashed apart by an ankle injury, but let's not forget, the Algerian left back has been fit since before Halloween, and he's played a minute, once, 1 minute, a month ago. Since then, Pep Guardiola has refused to let him squirm off the bench, probably punishing him for his last Premier League match, where he played the full 90 minutes in a sloppy defeat at Brighton. It's mad, this guy had the dream debut, playing the full 90 minutes as Man City smashed up Wolves on the opening day, which is like a woman seeing her new rich hubby beating up her ex by the bins outside KFC, and in the Champions League it's not been much better. Aït-Nouri was dragged off at halftime in the recent home defeat to Bayer Leverkusen. Look, I'm not exactly going to start hosting a funeral for this man's Man City career in December, no, but I'm just saying I said he would be a flop, and so far, I mean, he's not exactly firmly wedged himself into flop territory yet, no, but let's just say he's having a picnic dangerously close to the cliff.
Man United, Matheus Cunha. And look, I think he'll be okay. He'll have a 10-goal season in all competitions because the bloke does ooze quality and is dripping with ability, but I don't know. I think he's going to be a bit underwhelming. I think he's going to have the Man United legacy of a one nata. Not a flop, but a bit underwhelming. Actually, no, worse than nata, okay? I'm going to go for an in-between between Shinji Kagawa and one nata. Somewhere in the middle. Cunha will have some epic moments, but that's it.
I think I was being a smudge generous. I said that Matheus Cunha would be a mixture of Kagawa and Mata. Something between a bang-on flop and slightly underwhelming. But I also said he scored 10 goals this season and would provide some epic moments. Well, that feels a bit generous because I ask you, what epic, memorable moments has Cunha provided so far? I can think of one, missing a penalty against Grimsby. That's it. That's the only thing that sticks out in my memory. The Brazilian has been what I thought he'd be. Fine, with a lowercase f. He's been a tidy signing, knitting things together in the middle of the park, sure. But I mean, someone like Bruno Fernandes arrived at Old Trafford with a bang. Cunha has been quieter than your nerdy housemate. I mean, there's not even any examples of him losing his cool like he did at Wolves. No stamping his authority on the park. I mean, nah, he's been fine.
Newcastle, Malik Chow. Look, I really hope that Malik Chow proves to be an inspired bit of business. But I'm not sure. I get the whiff of an old school, random magpie signing. I don't think he gets in the Newcastle team. I think it's a Burn Botman partnership at the back before Chow gets impatient and quits for Leon next summer.
I'm sorry. I am sorry, Malik Chow. I am sorry. I actually dare to think that he would be a colossal, huge flop. Instead, the 24-year-old German centre-back from AC Milan has been brilliant. And I'm going to say it, is the club's best defender for 20 years. Seriously, Chow is the real deal. A strong, powerful beast. Smooth on the ball, strong in the air. He's the club's best centre-half since Woodgate. And I'm beginning to think this might be a golden era for German centre-backs. Chow just netted a brace against Everton. He's been terrific. One of the best signings of the whole Premier League season. He's utter Champions League quality, and so for this club to leave it so late in the day to secure this £30 million deal in mid-August, waiting that long to snap him up out of the blue, it's odd. He should be in a priority buy in the first week of June. He has been beyond brilliant, so I'm sorry, Malik.
Nottingham Forest, Igor Jesus. The guy won't settle in England. He will not be able to dislodge Chris Wood from the starting 11, and he's going to be fidgeting to leave in January.
Okay, let's be real. It's not working. Igor Jesus was not some damp squib of an unknown risk buy. No, he's Brazil international striker with dreams of going to the next World Cup. But I'm guessing this season, Carlo Ancelotti is probably realizing that he's been picking the wrong Igor up front because Thiago at Brentford has been ripping the Premier League to pieces, whilst Jesus, fresh off a Club World Cup with Botafogo, where he scored the winner against PSG. I mean, he's absolutely been handed a trump card with Chris Wood's body falling to pieces like cornflakes in a sink. So Jesus has been able to get regular action up front, and especially recently under Sean Dyche. But, I mean, he must be a nightmare fantasy league pick because he's still waiting for his first Premier League goal. Okay, by the way, this video was recorded on Wednesday afternoon, okay? So let's just hope he hasn't since bagged Molyneux to make me look like some dope who thinks that cows can fly. Look, Jesus has trickled in a few goals in Europa League, to be fair, against big teams like Real Betis and Porto. So sure, I mean, he's managed to look cool and slick on Thursday nights. But on the weekend, no more threatening than a blind chipmunk.
Sunderland Habib Diarra. They paid a big, massive £20 million for Strasbourg's 21-year-old Senegal international Habib Diarra. It's a big move, but a total risk. And I think he's going to be Sunderland's modern-day Didier in Bong. He won't settle.
Nope. No. Look, right now, Habib Diarra has not played in months. It's because he's undergoing surgery for a wonky groin. I said the Senegal international would not settle. Oh, no, he absolutely did. And quick, barely missing a minute in the first month of the season, as Sunderland took 7 points from 4 matches. He was a midfield powerhouse, a brilliant engine beside Xhaka, and I thought he'd be a burnt waffle. Whoops, I got this wrong. So very wrong. Next.
Tottenham João Palhinha. I think he's still going to be decent at the base of Thomas Frank's midfield, but by now, his powers have waned, and he'll just be another Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. He'll just be... nah.
Okay, look, the first month of the season made this prediction look weak. Like, seriously, it looked terrible because João Palhinha, he was that perfect midfield beefcake for Spurs. A brilliantly defensive technician in the middle of the park. And he was popping up with huge monster strikes too, like against Man City and Wolves. However, when Spurs' form fell apart after Halloween, so too did Palhinha's form, and he's really struggled since. So much so that he's finally dropped for the trip to Newcastle. But let's not talk about that match again. But yeah, Palhinha started brilliantly, but lately has been midfield cat food.
West Ham, Kyle Walker-Peters. Kyle Walker-Peters will be okay. Not a flop, but no more than okay. And his 28-year-old right-back freebie siding will have plenty of matches where he's going to be grilled like a mini steak sandwich. Honestly, he'll be totally nothing special under Graham Potter, and West Ham fans are going to spend the season scratching their heads and wondering, how on earth did this guy ever get 2 England caps?
Pretty much. Kyle Walker-Peters has not been great. But what do you expect? He was a freebie buy for one of the worst teams in the Premier League history. I mean, he started 4 matches in a row at the start of the season under Potter. But Nuno Santos come in and clearly decided the KWP is a defensive bird brain who he's not picking very much. I mean, what is creepy is that Walker-Peters has had 3 matches where he's played exactly 11 minutes. That is a little weird. But yeah, I mean, considering his more famous namesake is now at Burnley and in his mid-30s, then this would have been the perfect opportunity for this guy to show the world that yes, he's finally, for the first time ever, the best Kyle Walker in football right now. But no, he's not even that.
Wolves, David Wolf. Well, this is just a perfect signing. Wolves are signing a Wolf. Oh, this has to be too good to be true. I think he's going to stink worse than a 4-year-old yogurt.
Everyone at Wolves has been a flop. That's why I've been taking so much bread to the face. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know, what do you think? Let me know. How are these predictions aged? I think they've been okay, you know. I think most of them are on track to look fairly right. I mean, some of them are terrible shouts like Chow and Kelleher. But you know what? I'm happy to be proven wrong about those too. And everyone else just pretty much seems on track. So yeah, that wasn't the worst one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, please. I'll talk to you in a while.